So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to today's video where I'm going to go over the last few things that I did to the Firebird before I sold it and how I pocketed right around 1,500 bucks on top of getting all my money back when I sold it. Quick overview on it. I'm not going to go on and on or get into the details, but these just got to work with the numbers I'm giving you. I bought the car for 1,700 bucks. I've got around $2,000 into it at the time that I sold it, and I ended up selling it for 3,500 bucks. So I know that these third generation Camaros and Firebirds aren't everybody's cup of tea, but I personally like them. I know how to work on them, and I like to think I kind of know the market on them a little bit. And they're actually an interesting way that you can have some fun working on a car, get to know them, and make some money doing it. So if you haven't yet, go back and watch the first video. It's like a 3 or 4 part series. It's pretty quick. You can watch all of them in like an hour. So if you want to go see how I did all this stuff, it's all stuff you can do right in your garage. I did it right here. And I kind of just did it in my spare time when I wasn't putzing with this or doing stuff around the house. Alright, so if you saw the intro of the last video that I uploaded on the Trans Am here, you will know that we are doing a giveaway of an OBD2 scanner. So here is the winner of that. To pick the winner, I took the name of each person that commented on it, just like I said, and I'm putting them in a random name picker, and we're going to pick the winner based on what this website gives us. So here's the winner of the OBD2 scanner. Alright, so I took all the comments here, just the names from the comments, and brought them over to a random name picker website. So I got everybody in there. There's like 75 people, 74 people looks like. So they're pretty much all in here. Just went and double checked, and it does rule out duplicate names, so everyone's got an even chance of winning. So we'll see who the winner is. Christon Birge. So congrats, Christian. I'll be getting in touch with you. So congratulations on winning it. I will be dropping a comment down below, and you can send me an email with your shipping information, or you can send me a message on Instagram. Either one's good. I'll just be shipping it to you sometime this week. So congratulations on that, and I will probably be doing another giveaway with the same company who's developing a much cooler scanner. They sent me an email on this just last night, so we're working on another thing for you guys, and it's actually a really big like tablet style diagnostic tool, so we'll be doing another one. Stay tuned for that. So that being said, the first thing that I'm going to go over is the results from the seafoam and the oil change that I did to it. Seafoam did a really good job, as far as I could tell, starting to break down that crud that was in the engine oil or inside of these cylinder heads that you could see in a previous video. It's pretty gross in there, so I took a tip from Project Farm. Check out his YouTube channel if you haven't seen it. I'm a firm believer in seafoam products now. They work great. I put it in all my stuff, minus the Trans Am. I don't really think it needs it. I don't know. So it did a really good job, and here's some footage from that. So I'll get the car up in the air real quick. I'm going to drain the oil and seafoam concoction and put in some fresh 5W30 and a Wix oil filter, which is something I prefer to use on all my cars. They're pretty good filters. And maybe we'll even cut the old filter open, see what kind of junk is in it. I'll probably even add another 5 ounces of seafoam to this oil change and run another cycle of it, because I think it does good work. We'll get right into this portion of it, and we'll see you guys in a minute. Got a Wix 51069 filter. This is good stuff right here. I always run Wix filters. There's a Fram on it right now, so pick whatever you like. That's what I choose, and I got mobile and 5W30. A little trick that I learned a couple years ago where you take a little bit of extra motor oil, you pour it into the engine, and it's actually going to flush out what's left in the bottom of the pan, and I found that to be true. So luckily, I've got a little bit of extra 5W30, the same type of oil that I've got in this 5-quart jug. I'm going to run like a good half quart to a quart through the engine, and it's going to push out the rest of the old black oil. So the oil is still just trickling out. I'm going to take the filter off, but first I'll show you a clip under the car of what happens when you add another like a half a quart of oil. You're going to see a bunch of black oil come out. Alright, so I didn't have an oil filter wrench that was big enough to actually get onto the oil filter here. So I got a hose clamp that was big enough, and zoom back out. It's kind of tricky to do under the car, sorry. So what I ended up doing was tightening it up with just a socket with an extension on it. Got it nice and tight, and it was too tight for me to loosen my hand, so I just pushed on it with this, gave me some leverage on it by pushing and then twisting by hand, and I got the filter loose. So looks like I'll be able to do it by hand now. Yep, there it goes. Cool. So there you go. I'll get the filter out too and finish this oil change up. Alright, so we are done with the first oil change, and what I did the other night was cut open the oil filter, and I found something interesting inside of it, which I was actually hoping to find. Turn this down real quick. Inside of the pleating on the oil filter here, you'll see a ton. Let's try and zoom in here. I'll pick a bunch out for you, but you can see all that sludge in there. I believe this was the bottom of the filter. There's a big chunk there. Check this out. Every single pleat is full of this. Those two chunks are from two pleats. Each pleat is between the cracks of the filter, so I'm going to pick a bunch out and show you what's left over in here. Alright, so I just threw away the oil filter pleating over there, and here's what's left pretty much. It's just a mess of this black gunk and sludge. There's no paper element in there, so this is pretty much just what I took out of the oil filter. So I think the Seafilm's doing its job. I'm going to add 5 more ounces to this fresh oil and filter, and we're going to do this again and see what kind of sludge and grime we can pull out of this engine. 2-port injection engines are not the most powerful. They're not the best engine out there, but a $10 can of Seafilm was a pretty good way to put some new life into it, and it does run smoother after just one treatment with it. I have noticed it after driving it. That's about all I'm going to talk about with this little portion of it. Next thing we're going to go on to is refurbishing the metal up on top of the T-tops. As you can see here, they're a little bit worse for wear. This is going to be a really good DIY to do because all we're going to do is refinish and paint this single strip of metal. It's nice because they're nice and smooth. The paint that's on it is just faded, so what I need to do is scuff up the surface and refinish it. It's going to be pretty simple. It's going to take a little bit of taping and prep work, but what I'm going to paint it with is this. SCM makes various, I guess you could say, colors or finishes of paint, and this is SCM trim black, but this is a satin finish, and this is what I wanted. This is part number 39143. I've used this stuff in the past. Used to be able to get it at part stores. I looked all over locally at different part stores, and I could not find any SCM products, let alone the correct stuff. I ordered the wrong trim paint, but now I got the right stuff. So alright, so now that we got a little bit of cloud coverage, I can actually show you what this finish looks like. And the video is going to do it pretty good justice from what my eye sees right now, like in person. It's a little bit darker, but this is about as good of a finish as you can get. Let's try and reflect the light off it. There, it's more of a gray like that. This is close to a factory finish as you're going to get out of a rattle can, I'm telling you. This is something you can do for about $25 to $30 in materials and a little bit of elbow grease, and you're going to get a pretty good result. You can do the same thing to any trim, wiper arms, around the hatch, you know, you name it. Anything metallic like that on any vehicle. I mean, the Explorer, the Silverado, this Firebird, whatever it is, This SCM Trim Black is a great product. I've used it for years, and I finally broke down and ordered some paint online, and it was worth it. So I'll throw these on real quick and move on to the next part of this video. Here it is on the car. It's a little bit better lighting in the garage, obviously, so here's just a quick view of it. Just a nice finish. So big improvement over how it was for not a lot of money. And that's kind of what this whole project is about. This is stuff that you can do in your garage with nothing fancy, and it's the stuff that I like doing to these cars. So now that that's all done, you got an idea of what that turned out to be like. I did end up putting a set of spark plugs and wires in the car. They're inexpensive Champion spark plugs. You could probably spend a little bit more and get a little bit better plug, but for my purposes, I saved that couple dollars a plug, and I bought an inexpensive set of wires from a parts store, and the car is actually running pretty good after doing that little bit of work to it. Unfortunately, while I was doing it, I did break a very common connector, the knock sensor harness connector. They're very brittle with age, it's very common. So that being said, I'll go over the plug and wire change real quick and the knock sensor harness replacement. Alright, so I did it off camera, but I did the driver's side spark plugs. It had iridium plugs in it, and in my opinion, regular copper plug in this car and LS motors is just fine. There's no good reason to spend that kind of money on them, these dual electrode gimmicky kind of spark plugs, because there's only one path that the spark is going to take, and that is to the shortest path to ground. So you can have 10 electrodes on it. It's probably going to go to the same one every time. Conventional plugs that are inexpensive work great, and I haven't had any problems with them like I've had with like E3 spark plugs, for example, on the Trans Am. This car was down like 75 horsepower just because of the spark plugs, and it was something that I found as a consequence of just doing maintenance. The car ran fine, but it was dynoing much lower than it should have just with replacing the spark plugs. So I'll get off my high horse about that. These are gapped at 35 thousandths, and I'm going to continue my project on the passenger side, which is maybe something I should have done when I had everything all ripped apart, because as you can see, it is buried down there, but I did not have the plugs. They're part of an order that I placed that came in separately, so I'm going to keep doing this. I'll get the ignition coil in, and I'm going to go for a little ride and see how it drives. Well, this one didn't come out as nice as some of the other ones did. I've had this happen a lot. Never really had a problem, knock on wood, with the threads or spark plug, or the metal portion of the spark plug break like some of the Fords have issues with, but the porcelain will crack on them if you're not quite centered. So if you're cracked, don't get too worried. That's what happened to me, so keep on going. Alright, so the next part doesn't render much discussion. I've got a set of AC Delco spark plug wires, as well as a Duralast 231, it's a pigtail or a cable, and what I'm going to do is solder this onto the now broken lead of the factory knock sensor. It's very common. The plastic gets very brittle over time, and when I was changing the plugs out, it actually just shattered. I bumped it, never even tried to take it off, and like many of you know and have done, it shattered. So this is all pretty straightforward. We're going to go to a little bit of a time lapse, and hopefully it's going to take care of this little bit of a hesitation that I picked up since putting in the spark plugs. It wasn't there before. The car drove perfect. So I'm really thinking that through fighting to get some of these plug wires off that were really melted onto the spark plugs, I may have damaged one of the cables, because I did yank on them pretty hard to get them off. It's very awkward on the passenger side, as you all probably know, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get right to it, and we'll go for a little test drive. So here's the old spark plug wires. The previous owner had actually put corrugated tubing around a lot of them, like it was going to protect them, maybe from rubbing, but what you're going to end up having happen There's a lot of this. You're gonna get a lot of melting. Your wires are gonna be stuck together. Cylinders like 6 and 8 were pretty much fused together with this plastic tubing. It didn't damage the spark plug wire or anything as far as I can tell, but it sure made a mess out of it. So just routing these in a little bit better position is really the best way to do it. And we're done with this portion of it, so I'll give you a quick view down there of what I'm dealing with the knock sensor, and I'm going to solder on the new harness, and we should be done for now. Alright, I'll show you under the car real quick what I'm dealing with. We'll get way under here. You can probably see up there, there is a broken little plug. This is what I'm going to replace. This goes up on the cylinder head. There's a plug up there. I have no idea if you can see it. I'm sorry, but I'm in pretty tight spaces down here, and I just want to show you real quick what I'm doing. So the new harness is just going to replace this. I'll solder it, but I'll be doing this off camera. Just, you've seen me solder before. I'll be doing the same thing. There's no mystery here. Here's just a quick view of the pigtail. I'll leave it nice and long, get this zipped in real quick, and we will be done with this portion of the video. And unfortunately, tomorrow, I will find out whether or not the car is going to be staying. It's in pretty good shape, but like I said earlier in the video, it's kind of hard to pass up a couple $1,000s when you can go out and maybe buy another one of these and do it again. Alright, so that was quite a little project. It's not tough, it's just sometimes you got to do this stuff in a really awkward spot. So forgive me for not filming all this, but knock sensor harness is going to work now. You can see it way up there. Sorry, I got a big heavy camera. It's kind of shaky, but that's what we're looking at. So I can start the car when it's on the ground and make sure we're good and nothing weird's going to pop up like a check engine light, and that should do it for that little job. Car's running good. I think that was the cure. Sluggish from gear to gear, so I don't know if that's a TV cable issue or what it is, but for now the car is running pretty good. Luckily I've got another day's time to actually fiddle with it, and I found a couple of weird little problems that would have been a real problem like when I actually went to sell it. It's strange because the car was running really good up until the last day, you know, it's kind of like it knows. But I'm going for a little ride down some back roads here right around my house. Just going to shake it out a little bit. I'll go home and give it a quick wipe down, put some tire shine on it, and who knows, that might be all she wrote for this car, because tomorrow I'm going to be going over to Two Harbors with some friends of mine on a cruise in the 4th gen. So I'm going to enjoy it while I've got it, and we'll see if I've got it in the next clip or not. Alright, so on a sort of unexpected turn of events, but I just washed the car the first time, and man, it is looking good. This is after I buffed it. I just did one pass on it, a little bit of not polishing compound, but something a little bit more coarse, but look at that paint shine. How's that? How's that for looking at trees? It's like a mirror. The car kind of speaks for itself. It's an amazing shape. I've never had a 3rd gen that's like cleaner, you know? It's in really good shape, but to me, this isn't really the one that I'd want to keep forever, so if I get an opportunity to make a little bit of money on it, I'm going to have to run with it. It's kind of a sad moment because it really does clean up nice. The T-bar trim looks like factory. How good that turned out. Try this one real quick. It turned out just as good. Almost no prep work done to it. I just scuffed it, alcohol wiped it, and then painted it. Amazing finish. Really matches that center of the T-bar. White! Now we're on to the sad part of the video. We're on the final drive from my house. We're going to drive about an hour and a half to the destination where we're actually going to meet the buyer who is coming up from central Wisconsin to buy it. Him and his kid came up, they showed up, everything went great. We got the car loaded on a very skinny trailer. It was just wide enough that the mirrors fit, but they were happy with it, and here's some footage from that. Got my faithful rider here, making sure that side of the car is safe. But the car's running pretty good overall, I guess. All the work that I've done seems to have paid off, and it's a nice, smooth ride. It basically just drives better. You know, it's not faster, it's not more powerful or anything, but the engine runs really, really smooth, which is kind of my whole goal with it. It's basically just doing maintenance and having a nice, reliable vehicle at the end of it. Sorry, now that I got the window up. So right now, I'm about $1,900 into this car, and I'm going to sell it today for $3,500. So I'm going to get just over $1,500 in profit on it. I've got a couple of new parts that I'm going to return that I never installed, so there's another $100 back in my pocket. And the C5 Corvette wheels that I bought for $50 a few weeks ago, I ended up selling for $150 recently. So I'm going to be pretty in the green on this and those wheels, which pays for the next thing I'm going to do on the pewter Trans Am, which is my tunnel-mounted torque arm relocation kit and the ceramic coating and paint correction supplies. So all that stuff will be done to that car for basically nothing other than the labor equity that I have in this car. So the car's driving really good. Throw it into overdrive here. Chugs right along. It really does drive sweet. Now, some people are probably going to be sad that the car's leaving so soon, but sometimes you got to take money when it's right in front of you like that. I mean, or alternatively, I could put another $500 into a set of tires and probably another $600 and have the front bumper cover repainted, and at the end of the day, had like a $4,000 car. It's not worth it sometimes, and it's not a vehicle that I knew this wasn't a vehicle I was going to keep forever. If this was more like a IROC Camaro or a 91 or 2 Z28, or even an earlier Trans Am, like an 87 or 88 or 89 Trans Am, I'd be more interested in keeping that sort of thing and doing sort of like Detroit Speed does with their third-gen Camaro, OCCM on Instagram. There's a few examples that I could think of really, really cool third gens. Like, there's some really, really cool ways to do it, and that's more what I'm interested in. This car, in my head, was always more of a flipping project. So I've got about an hour worth of driving to do. I'll report back if there's any issues when I get there, but so far, it seems like we're just going down the road smooth. So we'll see you guys in a little while. Alright, so we have arrived at our destination, and Jameson the dog is going to get pretty excited here. So there's not going to be much to talk about. We're going to meet in a couple hours, or the potential buyer is going to be here in a couple hours. And that might be all she wrote for the Formula. And it's gone.
My car.
So, kind of sad to see it go, but I'm also happy to see it go. I didn't have to put tires on it, I didn't have to fix the front bumper cover, and I made a bunch of money on it, so you can't really ask for much more. I could have put another $1,000 into it, and I still think it would have been worth $3,500, $4,000 maybe. It's just not that special of a car, even though it's nice. It's a 305 automatic Formula, so just wasn't the right one to keep. So there's more of them out there, and if you guys want to see more or some sort of different car, let me know. Drop a comment down below if you want to see another third gen project. I'd like to buy and sell another one. I've probably had 10 of them over the years, 15 maybe by now, I don't know. I've had a lot of third gens, and they're just a fun car to work on, and you can make some money doing it. So that's about all I've got for third generation news. It is the last video of this series. I know a lot of you guys are here for the fourth gen, but this is something that I'm going to do anyways because it's something that I like doing, and I think some of you guys like watching it too. Maybe not everybody, but it's part of what I do, and that's what you're here to see. So anyways, the next video we're going to have is going to be installing my UMI tunnel mounted torque arm relocation kit on my fourth gen here, or it's going to be finishing the paint correction and ceramic coating it. Not really sure what I'm going to do next, so stay tuned for that. So If you are watching this video, you are one step away from helping me out, and that's by hitting the subscribe button. If you take 1 second and do that, it'd be a really big help to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. If you like today's video and you want to see another one, hit the thumbs up button. It's another way that you can help support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really does help. It adds up to something for me at the end of each month. So I hope you liked today's video. The 3rd gen is gone, and the next video will be of the 4th gen. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys next time.